freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your recap episode for this week's John Deere Classic. Joining me to break it all down, Patrick McDonald is here. Patrick.
What's going on, Rick? Fun little tournament there. A little, not a lot of drama, but a great performance. And I might have some takes on this U.S. President's Cup team.
Oh, boy. We are already getting into hot take territory for a President's Cup that is 2 months away. End of September, right? 2.5 months away.
End of September.
All right. Well, we are hoping to have Mark Immelman join us. He is en route to the hotel, so we will bring him in when the time comes. Let's hit a couple of appetizers here, Patrick, because Sungjae Im, who we've spent all week trying to figure out the levels of disappointment, got everybody all hot and bothered by making birdie on his first 5 holes of the day. 5 under through 5, bogeys on 7 and 8, birdies on 10 and 11. Then he gets 2 more at 14 and 17. It's a T2 for Sungjae, in which he had 2 different 64s, 20 under par. Be excited about this?
T12. I hate to correct you there. But you said T2.
T12.
Which I would have been excited about. But like I said, I posed a couple challenges to some of the bigger names in this field last night. Sungjae responds immediately. And then once you get thinking like, oh my gosh, could he post one of these low scores? He kind of backtracks. You make a couple bogeys out there today, you're losing a ton of ground. It doesn't really matter how many birdies you're going to make. As for my excitement level of this T12 finish, I would put it at maybe a 1 out of 10. What an odd season for Sungjae Im, right? 5 straight top 12 finishes in non-majors now? 3 missed cuts in those majors as well. So we talked about it a little bit last night. He was probably the best player coming into this week, and he flashed it at times, but not on a consistent enough basis to actually contend.
Wow. Okay. And I'm getting word that ahead of schedule and under budget, we have Mark Immelman joining us from the scene. And there he is. Hello.
Wow.
What's up, boys? How are we doing?
We're good. How are you?
Great. 2 really good days here. The weather was nice and cool. We dodged some rain around the place, which was good today. And look, they shot the grass off this place. So it was a whole lot of fun to watch. I got to be honest with you.
I love it. And I want to get your insights right away here. So the way that I'll do this is we'll save that final group for just a minute, because there are a couple of young guys out here, Mark, that I know you were able to catch some vibes on in Luke Clanton and Michael Thorbjornsen. Both of them posted Sunday 63s. Both of them got in at 24 under par. Both of them finished T2, but only one of them gets the money for it.
I'll tell you what, when we were planning for the day, look, first off, Saturday, I had Thompson watching him shoot 62, and it was just like no sweats. The guy looked like he barely even batted an eyelid and managed to cruise around there in 9 under. And I'd always, the rub on me for Davis was like, he's a talented kid, remains to be seen. But after watching him Saturday, I was like, there's no weakness. And then with those 2 boys today, we're preparing for the show, and my producer Jim calls me in and he goes, well, look, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to really go and watch those 2 boys, and they're alongside Carson Young, who at the time was in decent shape. So I'm like, I want to go and follow the 3rd group. So he said, have at it. And we got out there and we joined them on 10. And Thorbjornsen goes on a tear. And then Luke Clanton hangs around. But both of them are long. They're impressive, awesome ball strikers. And not fazed by the moment, I think, was the most impressive thing to me. I thought Thorbjornsen a little bit when he got up to very close, within 2 of the lead, I thought on 14. Big misstep there with a bogey on the short par 4. But from there, he just settled down, played pretty solid, and Clanton finished fast. But man, these 2 kids, they've got it all. Fearless, hit it a long way, make putts, and you can see they're born of this sort of class of college players where they know they got to shoot low. And these kids are coming, man. They are coming. And it was fun to watch them this afternoon.
Yeah, Thorbjornsen hit one way right off the tee at 14. That was the bogey that ended a stretch of 6 consecutive birdies. And then, as Mark mentioned, Patrick, Clanton birdies 4 of his last 5 holes. These two, they're confident. Mark is right. They're coming. They just want the ball. They want the ball.
Yeah, and Clanton said after his round, he's like, I don't want to sound cocky, but I know I can win on this tour already. three starts into his PGA Tour career as an amateur. He's like, yeah, I can win out here. And so we're going to see him at the ISCO Championship across from the Open, not the Kentucky Championship. I guess they got a sponsor there. And then we're also going to see him at the 3M Open. I believe he got an invitation there as well, and he confirmed he's going to stay an amateur. But yeah, like you said, Rick, these types of setups, Mark kind of touched on it a little bit, where you could argue Clanton's kind of like little weak point is around the green game. He probably needs to get refined a little bit there. It feels like a lot of these guys coming out of college, they can hit it a mile. Their ball striking is phenomenal, and they can get really hot with the putter. But where they need to improve tends to be that short game area, some of those touchy-feely shots. But on these type of golf courses where it's just go, 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 they're going to thrive and they're going to contend seemingly every time.
You know, I want to add to that, Patrick. Last year at this time, I got to call a guy who won the PGA Tour and his name was Ludwig Oberg.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he turned out pretty good. I remember watching this kid going, holy smoke. And lo and behold, you know, he's got the entire package, softly spoken, a lot of self-confidence, had everything. Then has the win in the fall at the RSM. Now he's a top 10 player in the world. I watched Michael Thorbjornsen today, and in many respects, I can draw a lot of parallels. If you compare him to Clanton, Clanton's kind of got a little swagger. He's got a little attitude about him. He looks like he's the junkyard dog who's going to battle you and just get after you. Where Thorbjornsen's got this regal kind of air about him, like Oberg, and you can see he's just like he marches around the place, not marches. He just saunters around the place going, I got guns, just watch me. And he lets the clubs talk. So it's the two contrasting characters. But I got to say, I saw a lot of similarities between Michael and between Ludwig. I really did.
It seems like where they went to college kind of has something to do with that, right? Stanford, you talk about Regal, like think about all the guys on Stanford on tour, really sure of themselves. And then Florida State, you got the Junkyard Dogs, Boog, DB straight vibing, Koepka as well. So I think there's something a little bit there too.
Yeah, no doubt. And then just the power of the tee. I mean, Clanton you can see he's getting every ounce out of his little body. He's a tall kid, but he's kind of lean, you know, wiry. But Thorbjornsen, when he hits it, the thing takes off like a homesick angel, man, and it goes high and it goes far. And there's not a lot of pattern to the shots too. These things cut through the air with very little shape. So, I mean, it reminds me very, very much of Ludwig.
Mark, I'm going to bounce this right back to you here because Clanton is the one who's still an amateur. Thorbjornsen turned pro just a couple of weeks ago. And Patrick had mentioned, it sounds like Luke is going to stay an amateur. And you are uniquely qualified to kind of discuss the mindset between a college player trying to decide whether or not it's time to turn pro. Now, I was just on CBS Sports HQ. Clanton has missed out on nearly $900,000 of payouts since he's been playing on tour this year. So what types of conversations is he having with the family, with the team to figure out whether Florida State will get him back next year?
I have to think, Rick, I cannot speak with good confidence on this, but I have to think that after last week, they were like, sweet. I think after this week, they're going, wait a second here. You know, I've got another couple starts coming up. Let's just kind of revisit this thing, because I reached out to the Florida State coaches and they're like, you know, he makes good grades. He's good on the team. He's going to be a junior, a lot of golf left. PGA Tour U only counts in your senior year. And so I think the coaches were kind of going, all right, we're cool with this kid. But after this runner-up finish now, I think the conversations may be changing a little bit. He had a huge following out there. Well, people, there was this one young lady who was wearing a red shirt that said, Luke's #1 fan. And she was loud, man. And she looked like she could have been part of the family. So he's building a bit of a following. And I think, I don't know, he hasn't won like a Dunlap. But I think he's looking at this going, golly, I've got another event. I'm playing well. It's not like he's stumbling to these finishes. He's playing well, and now he's got 2 more goes around. I think it might be time to cash in, but then again, you never know.
It's so interesting, Patrick, because he's got a lot of value as a professional, but he doesn't have a clear path to getting we're almost at the end of the year. He's probably only going to get a couple more starts here before the Tour Championship. He, like Mark said, he's not accumulating any of those PGA Tour U points. So if he turns pro, he's going to be relying on sponsors invites and just playing his way into event. So there's not a super clear path in either direction for him. It's kind of a stickier situation than we've seen other guys have.
It's very interesting because you would think in the fall, those tournaments would clamor over an invitation for someone like him. But at the same time, guess what? He's going to be back in school.
Right.
So what do you do there? I think is anyone's best guess. But I do kind of agree with Mark where, he shot up a back 930 today on the PGA Tour. And he was almost the guy who qualified for the Open and grabbed that second spot to Royal Troon. So it seems like the stock's never going to be higher. It's going to get higher, obviously. But it's a tough decision. I'm not too sure what he's going to do, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he contends at the ISCO Championship in the 3M Open, and he might take care of it himself.
Yeah, let's just put a bow on this real fast. That's the one good thing about PGA Tour U is because of the guarantees you get in terms of starts. And if you win the thing, you get your PGA Tour exemption. There's a lot of upside to these kids staying in school. But the one thing's for sure about golf, it's mercurial. And when things are going your way, you got to make hay while the sun is shining kind of thing. So that's where I feel like this conversation for the family, I'm sure they're weighing up both sides. But when you're playing golf and you're playing well, it feels like you're never going to play badly. So you have to maximize that. And if you're playing badly, who knows? He could go back to university and suck it up next year. We don't know. It's not likely, but it's possible because of the game. So I think you got to maximize. And if you look at other guys who've come out after their second year in college, some of them have turned out pretty well. I think of a Jordan Spieth. So look, he's got all the tools. He is a bit ragged around the greens, but what he misses around the greens, he makes up for with power and just sheer swagger. This kid is unafraid.
If it were me, I'd be on the horn tonight with all the OEMs and all the manufacturers, all the apparel companies. I'd have a new look when I get to the ISCO Championship, and I'd be playing for that cash, baby. That'd be big.
I couldn't find out what he was worth NIL wise, but he had a few logos on him, so he's making money now. I'm with you. His name's all over the place. You get interviewed by Amanda Ballianis on CBS on Sunday afternoon twice. His stock is up.
Indeed. Stock up for a handful of other golfers. We're going to talk about that final group, 3 guys with 0 career PGA Tour victories. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. And we're back. Let's talk about what kind of was the big storyline on Sunday, gentlemen. It was 3 golfers in the final group. None who had a PGA Tour victory, and two of them went in the wrong direction. One of them went in the correct direction. Let's start with Aaron Rai here, Patrick. Aaron Rai, for the second straight Sunday, was in the mix, but it was a very, very slow start for Rai. He went out in 35. That is even par. He was even par through 12. And let me tell you, when you are even par through 12 at TPC or TPC Deere Run, you are getting run over.
Yeah, a bit of a scratchy start there. It doesn't help when you get punched in the face immediately on the first hole, but you miss 2 out of the first 3 greens. You don't take advantage of the par 5 second, and you're 1 over through 3 while your playing competitor is running away with it, and things can start moving a little bit fast. And unfortunately, it didn't seem like he was ever too comfortable. Maybe he got comfortable there at the end and when he rattled off a handful of birdies on that back 9, but by then it was kind of too little too late. So another great high quality start for Aaron Rai. I'm sure he tried to implement whatever he learned from Detroit to this week, and it didn't go his way, but they kind of just ran into a bit of a runaway train, so to speak, in Davis Thompson. So they were just up against a beast.
They were, Mark, but Rai drops 5 spots from T2 to T7. This is the second consecutive Sunday that I think he would tell you he underachieved. Is it something to be concerned about, or is that just golf?
I don't think it's something to be concerned about. I mean, the list of luminaries that have come before him that have stumbled a few times when being in contention is long and illustrious. And it stings at the time, but knowing Aaron Rai as I know him and knowing the cast of people he has around him, I think of Piers Ward, his golf instructor, he's got some very smart people around him, and they'll put this into its perspective a little bit. But that's not to say that tonight he's probably going, dang, that's twice in a row. And I should have had a better chance. But this is just like learning zone 101 for this guy, because think about it. Just a little ways back, he was outside the top 100. He's quickly climbing the world rankings. He's quickly gaining a foothold here on the PGA Tour. And now he's the kind of guy, Aaron Rai that is, where you're like, when he's in the field, all of a sudden, everyone's going to turn their heads and go, there's Aaron Rai. He's a worthwhile bet. And not only are people looking at him that way, he'll start seeing himself that way too. So, he'll rue this misstep. I'm with Patrick. I don't think anybody was going to beat Davis Thompson this week. I really don't, given how he was playing. He had no weakness. But Aaron is a very disciplined, very cerebral, very methodical, put-together young man. And I'm sure he'll visit this and come out all the stronger, maybe not physically, but certainly mentally, emotionally for the next few events and certainly for the rest of his career.
2 under 69 for Aaron Rai. T7 is the final result. That's the same, both in score and result, as Eric Cole. And Mark, I'll bounce this right back to you because it was similar but different. Both Aaron Rai and Eric Cole were even par through the vast majority of their rounds. For Eric Cole, he stood on the 14th tee at even par before getting a couple of birdies late. Eric Cole was a little bit more all over the place, a handful of birdies, a handful of bogeys, but he will exit this Sunday still looking for that first career PGA Tour victory.
Yeah, he will. And color me surprised on this one because he was in the group with Davis Thompson I had on Saturday. And I remember on the final hole, I said to my colleague Andrew Catalan, I'm like, look, Davis is really cutting an ominous looking figure right now. But Eric Cole, to me, looks like everything is kind of firing. And I was like, I would expect him to make a bit of a run over the final round. And Ian Baker-Finch agreed. Andrew Catalan agreed. So when I heard of his performance today, how he came out slow, didn't really have it ball striking wise, I was a little surprised. You then couple that with the fact that the strength of his game is with a wedge in hand and around the greens and on the greens too. Then you start missing putts. And when it becomes this birdie fiesta like it was, and you're playing alongside the leader who you behind, and he's making birdies from the jump, then you sometimes feel like you have to force the issue. And I was watching 1 or 2 swings on my monitor where Aaron made, where you could see it's like he was almost trying to overhit tee shots. He was out in front of them. That little drawer that you can set your wristwatch on, it was hung out to the right a few times. And look, he finished okay with a few good shots and a few late birdies. But it's a misstep. But I also wonder with him too. I mean, I talked with him on the range, and this was his 9th straight start. And he's playing the Scottish Open, and he's playing the Open. I said to him, take a break. And he goes, well, I'm thinking about maybe not playing 3M. But then he quickly goes, but I've seen that the flight back from Troon is easier through Minneapolis than anywhere else. I may just play there. And I'm like, are you going to take a break? And he goes, yeah, Olympics week for sure. So I don't know. I don't know where the energy levels are right now, but you got to feel like there was some of that on the go too.
What a psychopath.
He's the best.
I joked with him. I said to him, hey, when you home? And he goes, it's been about 3 weeks. I'm like, do you ever just not take the golf clubs out of the closet? He goes, no, I play golf when I'm home too. So the guy, he just loves the game. May as well play for money, right?
Yeah. He's going to play anyway. Might as well do it on the PGA Tour. And Patrick, I want to get your assessment of his final round here, because I didn't think it was horrible. I didn't think he played poorly. I just don't think he really got anything going. He struggled a bit with his second shots. He struggled a bit with the putter. He was able to bounce back after each of his first 2 bogeys that he made. It was just kind of a weird, I don't want to say uninspiring round, because that implies that he was uninspired, but it didn't inspire me, I guess is the way to put it.
Yeah, I think, like I said, for Rye, the start for Cole was a little bit better, where first hole, he has about like 18, 20 feet for birdie. Davis Thompson is just inside 45 feet. You're probably thinking to yourself, I can make this really interesting really quick, and we could get a little 2-man race going if I'm able to knock this in and Davis Thompson pars this. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, never mind. I'm 3 back now. And then you look at the stretch from 4 through 12, those 9 holes where, like you said, he makes 3 bogeys, 3 birdies, and 3 pars. He only hit 3 greens in regulation during that stretch as well. So the iron play wasn't quite there, in addition to some waywardness off the tee, which isn't totally unusual for Eric Cole. And then the putts just didn't really seem to drop as well. So yeah, I think the schedule's crazy to me. Mark, he's only taken 3 weeks off in 2024. Generally, the guy's just playing every single week, which is awesome. I mean, it's awesome to see someone who just loves the game that much and feels so grateful to be on the PGA Tour. Just be like, why not? Like, let's keep a good thing going. But I think there's a chance maybe some fatigue got to him in the ball striking, just wasn't there to keep up with Thompson.
The man we've been referring to is Davis Thompson. He went out and shot the round of the day on Saturday. That was a 62. He had one of the best rounds of the day on Sunday, and he goes out and he wins by 4 shots, and it started very early, Mark. He rolls in a long putt for birdie on number 1. He has a great up and down for birdie from the backside of number 2, and then he does not stop there. He was 5 under through 6. He went out in 29. He birdied 10. So he's 7 under through 10 holes. And this does not look like a guy who is looking for his first career win and who is dealing with any level of anxiety.
Yeah, I was just aghast when I saw the start. He buries that long range one on the first that Patrick talked about. And look, as I watched him operate Saturday, only once did he look just a little antsy, and it was on 16 green. And but otherwise, he looked completely in control. And the look that he was exhibiting, just the way he was playing, the decisiveness, the walk, you could see just the comfortability with shot selection. It looked like he had done this before, and that was Saturday. But Sundays on the tour hit different, man. I don't care who you are. And to come out like that, he had to have been nervous. I'm going to ask him that when I see him again. He is playing next week. He had to have been nervous. And I want to say to him, look, how are you feeling? Because as a nervous competitor, you get out there and you use the term anxiety. There's an unsurety about it. The only thing you know is that, okay, I'm playing pretty well. I'm in the lead. I've got 18 holes to play. That's what you know. But the rest of it is like if you're living out in front of you, you're like, what's going to happen? If you look behind you, like I've been playing well, but you try and stay here. And then to have that start, I mean, that is the dream start for anybody playing with the lead. Because ordinarily when you're in the lead, you've got the target on your back and guys come chasing after you, and there were folks chasing after him. I mean, if he gets off to a slow start, you got Clanton and Thorbjornsen, and at that stage, Carson Young going a bit bananas out there as well. So look, the start was incredible, and I'd love to pick his brain and say, how the heck? But it just, he was in trouble one time, and that was down number 4, forgive me, the par 4. And blew his tee shot off the right-hand side. It's this unreal wedge from way above his feet in the rough to about 15 feet, makes that. And I'm like, nobody's beating him today. After that, no one's beating him. And he just went from strength to strength.
Yeah, it ended up being a 4-shot victory. And we talk a lot about the mindset, Patrick, and Davis Thompson was not easy on himself. And I mean that in a good way, because he finally hits a good drive on 13 and he is barking at himself about, finally, basically, finally I hit a good shot, as he's running away with the golf tournament. So he was not taking anything for granted out there.
Well, in his defense, he hit 2 out of his first 8 fairways. It seemed like there were a couple close calls there on number 2. He was just outside of the higher grass, takes advantage of it, hits really great chip from behind the green there to 3 feet. He made it look like a piece of cake. He
was missing fairways, but he made birdie on like 5 of those. That
he had 2 fairways on the front 9 and shot 29. So, and one of
let's revisit strokes gained off the tee, shall we? I mean, goodness gracious.
Strokes gained off the tee, front 9. He lost half a stroke. Doesn't matter. Gained over 4 putting. Yeah, I mean, I know Zach Johnson was talking about him afterwards, because he's part of the Sea Island Mafia, part of that gang, and Zach's friends with his father, who runs what is he, the tournament guy for the RSM,
and he runs. He founded and runs the SJGT, the Southeastern Junior Golf Tour, as well.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Thompson, yep.
Interesting. And he was saying how Davis has been working with this new mental coach who Zach is also friends with. Zach's friends with, I think he might be the mayor at this point. Yeah. And so, I mean, you saw it today and kind of throughout the week. He is just this, no matter what. It is level the entire way. And I know some people are probably critical because he's not giving a ton of emotion out there on the golf course. He's not giving the fans a ton. But, I mean, I was just thoroughly impressed with where he was through kind of the ups and downs, because you're leading by 6 in this tournament and you're cruising. And then all of a sudden you see Thorbjornsen rattle off 6 in a row. It gets a little scratchy. You make a bogey on 12 there. It gets cut to 3 with 6 to go. And honestly, things can happen in that scenario. We've seen it before plenty of times. And to come back, and the chip on 14, I know I talked about the one on 2. The chip on 14 was disgusting as well. Downhill lie, gets it to 2 feet, knocks it in. And from that, the tournament was really over. So Mark said it. He's got the full game. Young guy, a winner at every level. And it just seemed like it was time for him.
If I had to draw a comp, Rick, I would look to his namesake, the man after which Todd Thompson named him, and that's Davis Love III. They play similar games. Now, look, DL3 could smash it off the tee, still does. Davis Thompson is not short by any stretch of the imagination. He's got some speed about him. But just the way he conducts himself, the softly spoken manner, it's like he lets his clubs do the talking, and they talk loud. And I think probably the funniest anecdote was Saturday before the round. Dottie and I on the range doing some recon, and so I'm talking to him because I've got his group. And Dottie introduces herself, and she goes, "Hey, I'm Dottie Pepper." And he goes, "Yes, ma'am, nice to meet you." And Dottie goes, "You called ma'am to my grandmom, don't call me ma'am," kind of thing. But it's just who he is. He's this very polite, young Southern man, but there's a lot of fire with him. And I think that's born of the fact that he played a lot of high school basketball. He's an athlete. And he plays there at Sea Island. And the games around there are rampant and fierce. I mean, from Davis Love showing up to Kuchar to Zach Johnson to Kisner to Brian Harmon. I mean, they're all around the place. Patton Kazar. There's some big games around there. So he is, when he's not on tour, he's playing against guys on tour. And that's the best way to learn as far as I'm concerned.
One of the refrains about Davis Thompson is that he has won at every level. So here is an illustration of that. High school, twice an individual state champion and 4 straight team state titles. Goes to the University of Georgia, and he is an All-American on the first team for his final 2 years. In 2021, he's the SEC Player of the Year. He wins regionals in 2019 and 2021. He's on the 2020 Jones Cup team. He's the medalist on the 2019 Western Amateur. Played in both the 2020 Arnold Palmer Cup and the 2021 Walker Cup. He gets to the number 1 amateur in the world ranking. He turns pro, has a win on the Korn Ferry Tour, gets his PGA Tour card, wins on the PGA Tour. That is every level.
And during that span, 2020 U.S. Open at Winged Foot, leading after the first day.
There you go.
And I'll say this, you don't fluke wins on the tour. You don't. You have to play well. But as I look at Davis Thompson, I don't see a weakness. And I also see a guy that with the people that he has around him, especially his dad, and perhaps even Davis Love, that he'll put this all into context. And so I see a guy that looks like he's going to trend to me. Because a lot of guys, they get the win and then they feel they have to justify the win. So they start doing different things. And they start maybe changing things that they shouldn't. Where it looks like he's got this patience about him where he just charts his course and he does it. So I don't think there's going to be any rash decisions. There's going to be no reaction to this victory, trying to feel like I've got to prove myself. He's just going to keep doing himself. And now with some confidence, man, the sky's the limit for this one.
Do you know how he finished in that U.S. Open, Patrick?
Oh.
Don't look. Don't look.
What'd he shoot? Oh, well, okay. Well, he wasn't leading after the first day. Sorry, Justin Thomas was, I think.
Yeah.
So,
I was gonna say you gotta retire this because you also missed that.
but he was leading at some point during that Thursday, 69-78. That's gonna happen to everyone.
He was, because he was 4 under through 11 holes, and that's when Patrick turned off the TV and did not watch Davis Thompson for the rest of that golf tournament.
I didn't watch the rest of the tournament. Davis Thompson's my U.S. Open winner.
Best player in the world. All right. We are going to talk more because we've got to recap our bets for the week. We have got to add some money to the one and dones, and we've got to quickly look ahead to overseas action. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
We need your sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
And we're back. Let's recap the wagers for this week. The grid. How about this? A clean sweep down the left-hand side on the matchups 4 for 4. Kyle and Patrick with Aaron Rye over Jordan Spieth, Greg with Jason Day over Adam Svensson, and myself with Andrew Novak over Brendan Todd. Those were all correct. Finishing positions, a reverse sweep. That's 0 for 4. None of those came through, and while we had a couple of chances out of that final group, Aaron Rye on Kyle's card, Aaron Rye on Greg's card. We did break through. I had Davis Thompson on my card. So we did find a winner there.
Well done,
Rick. Rick,
way to go.
Congratulations. Patrick, I got to ask you a question.
What's up?
With your outrights there, what were you thinking? What was the thought process?
I was thinking both these guys were playing some pretty good golf, and I like the prices. I think Power finished inside the top 10, and Novak had a great week after what was a very bad start. So I like my process right now.
I'm trying to divert attention from myself, who fell in love with Sepp Straka, despite what I was really wanting to do. But anyway,
don't worry, we're gonna get to that part here in just 1 second. Now, our best bets. Kyle doubled down on that Aaron Rye over Jordan Spieth wager and cashed that. Patrick, I laughed and laughed and laughed about Denny McCarthy on what he did on Saturday, but he touched second place for a moment on Sunday.
He had the most ridiculous round. He holed out for eagle on number 2. He holed out for eagle on number 10. I think he chipped in on 13 as well, and made a couple 30-footers mixed in there too. So yeah, it just seemed when Mark was following him, for some reason he kind of kept his foot off. He took his foot off the gas there. I don't have my tinfoil hat on there, but you want to put 2 and 2 together.
I'm the Black
be my
Widow.
guest.
Yeah, I'm the Black Widow. He was struggling, man. He was really not striking the ball very well at all. All I want to know, Rick, is do we somehow have maybe a screenshot or some footage of Kyle Porter picking Aaron Rye over Jordan Spieth? This is like, I'm keen to know how on earth did he do that biting his tongue?
You know what? I brought it up and said, is this a typo? Have you sold all of your real estate on Spieth Island? What is going on? And he gave us some response. I don't even remember, Patrick. It was shameful. Whatever it was shameful.
I think it was a mental hedge where he's going to either win this bet or Jordan Spieth is going to play well, since Aaron Rye has been playing so well.
Yes.
Okay.
He said it was a life hedge, which, hey, he won the bet. So the wallet got better. The mental state maybe did not. One and done. And this was looking really good for Greg, myself, and Kyle, because we had Aaron Rye, and he was in that final group. And we're thinking, okay, maybe he gets 1.4 million. No, he drops down to a tie for 7th, which is worth $252,000. And then Patrick gets this backdoor run from Denny McCarthy, who also is T7 to get the same amount, $252,000. So just a wash there between those two golfers. Mark, you and Josh both had Sepp Straka 17,000, but I guess it's better than Aaron Rye winning.
Yes, way better, because I texted Josh on Friday when I saw the scores. I'm like, please send me the picks, and I hope no one's picked Aaron Rye. And there was you guys. But you should have seen me trying to make this pick. I am at 6s and 7s, man. Odds and ends. I don't know what the heck I'm doing right now. I wanted to go Rye, and then I made the mistake of looking at Rick Run Good. Although I love it, that's not a knock on you.
Oh, that's okay. It can be.
So I see that he hasn't played the event. I'm like, oh, gee whiz. I'm like, but he's playing well. But no, it's first time over there. I'm unsure about him. And then I thought about a few other names, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I've got to go with Sepp Straka. The record there's good. He's been playing solid. And when he's 5 under par on the first day, I'm like, let's go. And then from there, he played even par for basically the rest of the event. It's terrible.
Yeah, I think he was 5 under through 8 holes or something.
Yeah, stupid. Terrible.
Then he didn't do much after that. So not a ton of movement. I don't think we had anybody pass anybody. Everybody still remains in their same spots, and we will head over to the Scottish Open next week. We will then have the Open Championship. We're getting dangerously close to the end of the season here. So, gentlemen, as we look forward to next week, I'm looking for the one thing that you are most excited about, interested in, focused on, the storyline, primo. Patrick, you get to go first.
First and foremost, I'm excited for the content to come from Mark Immelman overseas. Can't wait for that. Great swing videos on Instagrams, all platforms should follow him. I think the return of Rory McIlroy is probably going to be the thing that everyone comes to mind. Personally, I like waking up early. I like seeing the Scottish coastline. I like having a cup of coffee in my hand, and I love watching the golf. It's awesome. I love links golf. So that's really what I'm looking forward to. And seeing if this finish from Jordan Spieth, I know it's not great on paper, but he flashed some vintageness throughout the week. If it can translate at all, I'm not saying it will, to links golf these next 2 weeks.
Mark, you've got your passport ready. You are rocking and rolling. That would be my answer. I'd be excited to get over there and see some stuff in person. But what is coming for you next week?
Forgive me for sounding a bit obnoxious, but yes, I fly out here tomorrow morning to Atlanta, then to London. Then the family and I are going to Wimbledon Tuesday afternoon.
Oh, Mark, are you kidding me?
Mark is just living, baby.
You think your boy Sasha is gonna get by Fritz?
Have you seen his backhand lately? It's a thing that it's from God. It's straight from heaven. So Wimbledon, and then we are going to take the train to Scotland, family, and then research on Friday, go around the golf course. It's just an incredible area. Renaissance is a cool course, but you've got Gullen and Muirfield and all these places, these North Berwick around there, which are the great golf courses, links places of the world. And then St Andrews right up the road. The forecast is supposed to be a bit grizzly. It's like in the 50s and windy and rainy some days. So it's going to be typically links. So as far as the event goes, I'm looking forward to seeing Rory play after an extended time off. I'm looking forward to seeing Bob McIntyre, who's got a whole bunch of confidence right now, playing in front of the home crowds over there because they'll get behind him. And he's obviously played well there before. And I'm looking forward to sort of seeing some of the American contingent going well, like a Brian Harmon who's played there well there before. So that's that. And then on Monday, my daughter Isabel and I'm playing golf at the old course. So that's probably going to be the highlight of the trip.
Mark, check it off the bucket list.
Behave yourself. Behave yourself, young man.
Okay, but then over the top of that, so I was supposed to do a corporate outing at the Open, which fell through. So then later in the week, my girls have cornered me because I've got 3 girls in the house and me. We're going to the Taylor Swift concert in Düsseldorf in Germany. So we put it in.
Oh my God!
Those are like 4 of the biggest milestones a human could do.
Okay, I need to talk to someone in booking. I need to pay off this trip somehow. CBS Sports HQ, please. I need some.
I'll tell you what. You'll get a Rick Rungood logo on your hat, so that when you're at Wimbledon and they show you in a box next to the princess, it'll get really great run. We'll pay for the trip that way.
Not in the royal box, but it's going to be fun. I mean, look, Wimbledon is a thrill. This run of few weeks in the UK is just awesome. With you got the Tour de France over there in Paris, obviously in France, I should say, and ending in Paris. But then you got Wimbledon, and then you got the Scottish Open, then you got the Open. It's just an incredible run. Then you got the Women's Open coming up, and then the Senior Open as well. So it's a cool time to be in the UK, and I'm
Mark,
thrilled.
why don't you stay over there and do the Olympics too?
I love Paris, but now I got to come back and do the 3M.
Some would call it the Paris of the West. So
yeah, some.
Mark, who are your okay? So you go Tuesday. So you got Sinner versus Medvedev and Carlito versus the top American Tommy Paul. Who do you think's coming out of those two?
I thought Carlito looked a little ragged today, but he's incredible mentally. And Tommy Paul, I feel like he might do something special. But I'm going with Alcaraz there, and I feel like what's the other one? Medvedev
and Sinner.
Sinner is just too good right now.
Yeah, he's awesome. I thought Foe was going to get Alcaraz a couple rounds ago.
I think Zverev is going the whole way. I think someone told him you can't play grass, and it looks like he's on the baseline. He's taking balls early. That serve is like a cannon. I feel like he's going the whole way.
Rick, for reference, every Grand Slam that comes up in tennis, Mark texts me about Sasha. He's like, "This is the one." This is the one he wins. He's like, look how good he is. Look how good he is. How does he not win?
Every major, I text everyone I know and say, "This is Rory's time. He's gonna win."
Well, me with Zverev is like Kyle with Spieth, although I won't ever ditch Zverev like Kyle's ditched Spieth.
Good man.
Grab this comment from Hef, Josh. It says Mark is also going to be knighted by King Charles.
Boy. You know what? A lot of me was trying not to. I didn't want to feel obnoxious about this, but it's going to be kind of the trip of a lifetime, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, it is. We are happy for you. You deserve it. We want to hear all about it. It will not be rubbing it in. I'm dying to live all of that through you. So we want to hear about every step of the way. We're stoked for you. We can't wait to get you out there.
I texted Josh and I said, look, I can call in, but our broadcast time over there is from 5 to 8 Scotland time to meet the the windows here, right?
Right.
So, but it stays light until like 11. So I might call in after with a beer in my hand saying, yo, boys, what's going on? I'll give you the update from the course.
Give us a call from the course or the tavern, the pub, and we'll take what we can get. You'll be drinking beer, we'll be drinking coffee. All right, well that's a good segue, because we I don't know what the official times are going to be for next week, but obviously they are going to be a little bit different. So stay tuned for what time the podcasts are going to be. The pods are obviously just going to be when the rounds are over, but they'll probably be much earlier than normal. We'll have a little coffee golf action for the next couple of weeks. Everything will be ready to rock and roll. All good, boys?
All good. Safe travels to you, Mark.
Thank you, man. Yeah,
I'm excited to follow along.
If I remember, I'll bring you guys something.
Tell Taylor Swift we said hello. That's what we're most excited about.
That's the one thing that I'm sort of. I don't know if I'm looking forward to it, but my youngest Sophia is a rabid Taylor Swift fan. So I'm keen just to watch her to see how she goes on.
Your favorite song? What's the favorite song, Mark?
I like that one that she sings with a guy from Panic at the Disco, but that's apparently not in the concert.
Which one's that, Patrick?
It's
I don't know.
Something about you and me or whatever.
Taylor
I don't know, but they're taking a T-shirt. They're all dressing up. I've got a T-shirt that says "You better calm down." Apparently, that's a Taylor. It's not gonna wear my T-shirt.
I love that.
Awesome. All right. Well, safe travels. We will be back next week. Everything else is still the same. DFS preview, same time. Mega preview pod on Tuesday, same time. I'm sure we will probably have a live show on the network at some point. Stay tuned for all that information. Big thanks to producer Josh, who does all the hard work behind the scenes. Mark Immelman, who you can find globetrotting the world at Mark_Immelman. That is Patrick McDonald at P McDonald CBS. And you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.